Hey, welcome back, everybody. Armchair Quarterbacks, Mile High Edition. I'm Michael Worth.
I am Nick Duran. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down at the bottom. Sharing is caring. Give us those thumbs up. Oh, look at that, Mike.
Look at it, we got some new effects. Don't
That
forget,
looks
like,
legit.
subscribe, and comment.
I will say this though, in order for them to comment, we have to enable the comments to be turned on. So,
Are they not turned on?
mm-mm.
Oh well, we had one spam comment last like 2 weeks ago, so maybe it wasn't turned on this last week, but I will fix that. So let's jump right into this. We got a great episode, lots of Rockies, Nuggets, Broncos, and Avalanche talk. First up, we got the Rockies, and it was a pretty poor showing for this week. We had doubleheader with the Mets. We had some games with the Dodgers. We got swept by the Dodgers. What'd you think, Nick?
It was a little cold. I'm going to
Yeah,
say that. It was weird. I didn't realize that the Major League Baseball was going to be able to do two 7 inning games. That was a
yeah, I
little.
thought that was interesting. I didn't see that coming. I didn't have any idea that that's how doubleheaders were going to be played with 7 innings.
Yeah, I learned the day of the game that it was going to be two 7 inning games from the Rockies. So it was a definitely different feel and vibe to only have 30 minutes, 40 minutes between the last pitch and the first pitch of the second game. Normally, you see at least a couple of hours in between games. But to your point, we did not play relatively well against the Mets, who, to be honest with you, they're not a good baseball team.
Oh,
They have a couple good stars on their team, but as a collective, they're not great. They do have Degrom, who played outstanding or
yeah.
pitched outstanding
I think what did
on the
he
first.
he struck out 14 of I think the 18 outs or something like that
Mhm.
he pitched.
Yeah, different pitcher. Here's the thing, though. We've talked multiple times on multiple episodes about being able to pitch at Coors Field, and he came in. Obviously, it's one time, so let's give him that. But he looked lights out against us.
Yeah.
His balls were moving exactly where they needed to, and he looked like the Cy Young winner that he is.
Yeah, so it gives us hope that
It gives us hope. It gives us hope that you can
we
go
can
out
find
and
somebody who throws,
find
because
somebody.
there are a handful of pitchers who do really well all the time they throw here. But I mean, you can see right there he's throwing at 100 miles per hour, so that doesn't hurt.
No,
Um, it makes
but
it a lot easier
it's
if you got movement on a fastball that's triple digits.
agreed. I mean, I wish I could throw the ball 100 miles an hour and have a 6 inch break.
Yeah. The Dodgers ace, he always pitches well at Coors Field too. Not Kershaw, because I don't consider him their ace anymore, but the tall, lanky guy. What's his name? I think this third time
Are
we
you?
forgot his name. Was it?
No. Well, now their new ace is Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer. He pitches well every time he comes to Coors Field. It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's in LA or in Colorado. He pretty much shuts us down, both in both places. So there are pitchers who succeed out here, and it's nice to see. There was a couple points in the Met series where I felt like and even in the Dodgers series where I felt like our starting pitching again did a good job, had decent outings, and there's no lead that's safe with this.
No lead is safe in Coors Field,
No,
especially when the Rockies have it.
yeah, I mean, we were up I think 3-1 on Degrom, and as soon as the relievers came in, it was over. So
True. Degrom, we weren't up.
was that?
We weren't up with Degrom. He was we. The Mets were winning when he was still in.
Oh, okay. No, I just mean in the game we were up 3-1
Oh
like
yeah.
at
Okay.
one point, and then when our guys came in to relieve our starting pitcher, it was over. So yeah, I can't even say I care about the Rockies at this point. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. It's hard to watch them. It's hard to talk about them. I mean, it doesn't feel like we're in rebuilding mode. It doesn't feel like we're 2 years away from putting together a legitimate team.
Right.
It's bad. It's awful. I mean, what do you think?
Well, we talked a little bit about it, I think, on episode one from what the Rockies did in 2020 or lack thereof from a producing run standpoint. And it's telling that we play in Coors Field, so we always talk about it's a hitter's ballpark, but yet we're overall 22nd in team batting average. We're, you know, 25th in runs batted in, and so we're just not putting up a lot of runs. And but on the flip side, we don't have a lot of players. And Charlie Blackmon on the screen right now just struck out. Before his last two at bats against the Mets, he's batting a 177 for the year.
Yeah, I think, I mean, our team average is in the low 200s. McMahon started off really well. He's had a couple bad games to lower his average into the mid twos. Stories in the up like high twos, I think, right now. So there's not one player on our team batting near 300, I don't think.
Yeah, no one is lights out, and then pitching is exactly where we thought it was going to be, bottom third. But the only thing that's even saving it from being dead last is, yeah, to your point, our starting pitching, at least the last, call it 5 or 6 games, they're getting good quality starts and good quality appearances. But to your point, man, our relievers are just absolutely terrible. I know my dad talked about it, I think, on episode 4 or 5, that if he was the GM of the Rockies, and I completely agree with him, to use your first 17 draft picks and just draft 17 pitchers.
It's really, I mean, it's really hard to stomach the lack of prospects we have in our farm system, because we are historically bottom half of the league. So that means we historically draft in the top half of the draft.
Yeah.
And to not have anything to show for it in the pipeline, especially after making a blockbuster trade for Arenado, to not get any prospects in our farm, it's I don't know. I mean,
well, the good news is that we are on track to have the first pick of the MLB draft. And do you go after the guy from Vanderbilt from a pitching standpoint?
If you're the guy from Vanderbilt from a pitching standpoint, what's the signing bonus that the Rockies have to offer you to come pitch at Coors Field?
I was like, it's got to be pretty. It's got to be pretty. I think that's going to be the key. Is like, as sad as it is, if you're going to lose 110 games and you're dead last in the league, then you have to take advantage of a player like that. And I was joking with my brother-in-law the other day about he'd fit right in on the Rockies because he gave up back-to-back home runs against Tennessee. But overall, the kid is an absolute stud. I think he's at an ERA, a season ERA of like 0.96. And just absolutely averages between 10 and 12 strikeouts a game. And so per 9 innings. And, I think getting someone like that, but then also using the rest of your at least top 10 picks and going out and getting the top 10 best pitchers that you possibly can, and then seeing what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to finish dead last again?
I don't know who our scout was, like our Latino scout that did the Central America scouting back when we were kind of starting to compete and we were getting some good pitchers. But I would like them to go, if they still have him, and they're not doing as good of a job. But back when Jimenez and Franklin Morales, and there was a couple other guys from Central America that were really good young arms. I would honestly like to see some more of that. I don't know if we're not dedicating enough time into that area anymore, but
no, I agree. I think to your point, it's we need to start widening our horizons, and I think we get too comfortable, and we go after what makes the most sense versus maybe taking a little bit more risks. Because right now, like, this is the time you can take them.
Yeah. I mean,
lose.
Right. What are you gonna? We're gonna start another hashtag fire Birdage, hashtag boycott the Rockies, whatever it is. Nobody follows through, so they're gonna make their money, and they're gonna like.
The funny part, it's really telling though, because you're able to, the first homestand, we're at 21,500 fans for every single game. But, the weather hasn't helped. So, it has been a little colder here. Some of the games that, with snow. But, they're not seeing 21,500 fans every game, which is crazy to me, right? They're seeing they're down to 15 and down to 14. The other night it was 6. And so, to your point, we might be seeing a trend where the fans the product on the field is just not worth going to. Like you could get tickets to behind home plate tonight for $30.
That's crazy. That's insane. Well, hopefully the trend continues. It'd be nice to put some pressure on them to make a good move to not to set us up for this year. Who cares about this year? But to set us up for a brighter future.
Yep, I agree.
Moving on to the Nuggets, we had 3 games without Murray. We won all 3 of the games.
Yep.
There was a double overtime.
I was shocked.
Yeah, I mean it's pleasantly surprising. And last night we beat a pretty decent young Memphis team in double overtime without Monty Morris or Jamal Murray, so that was a big win.
And that's a Memphis team too that's going to be in the play-in right now. If the season would have been, they're in the play-in. So you have a potential to play with that team in the playoffs, and it's just nice to get a win over a team that you could possibly see in June.
Yeah. Come to the end of the regulation, Michael Porter Jr. He had a couple of really big shots because we were down most of that game. He had a couple of really big shots to help us close the gap in the fourth quarter. Jokic kind of took over from the start. He was like 40 some odd points, 18 rebounds, and 8 or 9 assists. So that was a nice win. They beat the pants off of Houston, but even without Murray, that's expected.
Correct. And, like we're 2.5 games up on the Lakers in the 4th spot right now.
Yeah.
And we talked about it the other couple of weeks back, our remaining schedule is probably like the top 3, easiest schedules remaining in the NBA.
Yeah. And honestly, being matched up with the Lakers in the first round, in my opinion, is not the worst thing. I would rather play them in the first round than the Western Conference Finals when they have 2 series to gel and get healthy. So playing them in the first round might be best case scenario because you're going to have to go through them anyways. The challenge is finding a rhythm and having players step up. So it seems like they're doing that. They lost a couple games, but overall, since the All-Star break, they have one of the best records in the NBA. So,
I mean, in the last 10, they're 8-2.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to complain about kind of the winning percentage right now of the Nuggets and kind of what they've been doing. We just added Austin Rivers today.
Yeah, that's a big signing, I think, because
he's
not a big name. He's had some key roles on good teams, and he'll help fill minutes into that point guard role, especially with Morris. He's missed a lot of games this year, so having our top 2 point guards out, it'll be nice to have somebody who can fill in those roles.
The thing is I like the thing I like most about Austin Rivers is that he hit the game winner against North Carolina. That's his thing.
That's your favorite thing about Austin Rivers. All right.
He will always be a Nick Durant fan because Nick Durant will always be a fan of his because he beat North Carolina.
Yeah.
I hate North Carolina.
Well, they got a new coach for the first time in 50 years, so we'll see how that program holds up. But I think Jokic has got the MVP wrapped up. It sounds like the narrative is going in his direction, especially even if the Nuggets hang on to just the 4th seed without making their way up. I think he's getting because of everybody that got hurt, I think he's getting the pity MVP, which, take it how you can get it.
Right. But, and here's the thing, though, whether it's a pity MVP or actual MVP, he deserves it at the end of the day. He's had an outstanding season. We would not be 17 games over 500 if he was not on our team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's had the best season of any player in the NBA this year. He doesn't get the respect that he deserves, even if he is starting to get a lot of respect. It's not nearly is not enough. I was watching a game last week, and I was thinking to myself, man, Jokic is really playing kind of poor. And then you look at the box scores at the end of half, and he's got 15 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. It's like, okay, I guess you're just used to him really taking over and not making any mistakes, because he tends to get a little sloppy at times when he gets frustrated. But even his bad games are so good, you kind of take him for granted.
His frustration fouls kill me though. I hate when he does that.
His big arm slaps, man. We were talking about that last
Yeah.
week. It really affects his game. He gets so in his head about not getting a call, and rightfully so. He doesn't get the calls that he needs to get a lot of times, but it affects him so much. And his, yeah, like you said, it's frustration fouls. It's just awful.
Yeah.
Um, I was so he was like 20 for 31 last night and shot 5 or 6 free throws. Joel Embiid was 9 of 19 and shot 17 free throws. So I mean I get it. It's not like their game is any different. He's not Steph Curry where he's shooting 17 threes a game out of his 30 shots. So he's banging in the inside. He should be shooting at least 9 free throws a game.
Who do you think needs to step up? We talked about Michael Porter Jr., which he absolutely is.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to get your averaging double, if not triple double from Nikolai. With Jamal Murray being out, and we're not going to go your best friend on the entire team. Who else needs to step up right now to ensure that we stay in that 4 seed when it's all said and done?
So if he can get healthy, Monty Morris is as good of point guard as a lot of starting point guards in the league. So he's definitely key. But I think PJ Dozier is a very key piece going forward because he's going to get a lot more quality minutes. So if he can step up, contribute with a couple spot up threes and play good defense, those minutes will go a long way. Here he is hitting I'm not hitting a three. So he needs to make those shots. But he's playing in the fourth quarter because he has to, and he has to make big plays for him because he's going to get important minutes moving forward. I think he's a really big one. I still don't know if I like the Millsap and JaMychal Green rotation for the second unit. I don't think that works at all. Both of the players separately are good. But I just think they're the same player on the floor. They have the same limitations and their skill set on offense is the same. So it's just not going to work out with those guys. I would like to see JaVale McGee start getting some minutes because he's going to be key for us against some of the teams with big men. The Lakers, he's going to be a really big key piece.
I completely agree, but I think being that even though he's brand new as of today, I think Austin Rivers is going to play a really big role down the stretch. He's probably going to average, in my opinion, between at least 12 and 19 minutes a game, just based off of the injuries and kind of what he can bring. And then Facu is, he's getting a lot more playing time than he probably originally anticipated coming on midway through the damn season. But he's a phenomenal defender.
He's a pest, man. He's a pest.
Lockdown defender, and I thoroughly enjoy watching him play defense. But obviously, with what's his face, Steph Curry going off for 53. But other than that, outside of him,
I thought Facu signing at the beginning of the year looked really bad. The game looked too fast for
29
him.
Years old, and he's a 29-year-old rookie.
Yeah, and I don't think he's the greatest player, but he does have a spot in the league. I don't know if he'll get any better than what he is now, but he does help us compete, and he plays hard, so I like him. I like him just because he plays hard. That goes a long way with me and watching games. I hate the lazy players that are really talented, the J.R. Smiths of the world who could be all-star year after year after year, who just don't put any effort into it. So just him playing as hard as he does, I like him.
Yep, no, I completely, because he, I would imagine for him, he's got a lot more to prove than someone like a J.R. Smith who's going to get us 12, 13 million a year to shoot 42%, but also jack up 45 threes a game.
Yeah, I never understood why J.R. Smith made it in the league so long. I mean, he was like LeBron James's buddy, but so
the thing is, people like seeing him with the shirt off and all the tattoos.
No, I mean, he was he was always the guy I wanted to just take that step because he was so talented and he flashed so bright when he was doing it, and then 3 games pass and he does nothing and he doesn't look like
he reminds me of a quieter or J.R. Smith is a louder version of Gary Harris, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he can shoot lights out at one game, and then 3 games later, he does absolutely nothing. The only edge I'll give Gary Harris is that he's a way better defender.
Yeah, and way less talented. I truly thought that J.R. Smith was, if he was, like put in anybody's work ethic, that any of the top players or any of the role players, if you put their work ethic into that guy, he would have been a top 20 player in the league. But not so much for us or the league. So it is what it is. The NFL draft's coming up, Nick. I kind of got four prospects that I think that
Look, a guy in his underwear.
Yeah, Patrick Surtain. I think he's going to be the pick if we go corner. He's been phenomenal at his pro day. He's been fast.
He's the guy that I picked in episode 1.
Yeah. He's been super fast, and I almost, he has an advantage because his dad was in the NFL, and so you get that elite training from a young age.
The basic,
the work ethic
and knowledge too, like just what to expect.
Mm-hmm. There's a big difference for a kid who is around what it takes to make it in the league at a young age versus a very talented kid who is in a smaller school or the best in the world, and they've never seen anything outside of their city. So hopefully it has an effect like it has in baseball with all of these next gen players, because a lot of them are really, really good. And so if he does come to the Broncos and they do go cornerback, which even though they filled cornerback and it's not a need anymore, we got guys on 1-year deals. We got guys who are older, so it will be a need in the future.
Mm-hmm. Do you think how many bench presses could you do of how many reps could you do at 225, Mike?
Currently, maybe like 4. But
so not 18.
Not 18, but I'm not going for the NFL Combine right now. So
I mean, because is he 6'6"?
He's like 6'2", 205, which is really. I mean, he's really stout for a corner.
That's a big cornerback. That's a big corner because he's gonna probably put on another 5 pounds in the NFL, get to 210, and he's gonna be a lockdown corner going up against. And here's the thing though. To your point, the wide receivers of today's age are, they're bigger, faster, stronger, unless you're like a Tyreek Hill, who you're next level speed. But you have to be able to go one-on-one and lock, even like a Cortland Sutton for us.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
I mean, the glamour is at the wide receiver position. So kids growing up, they want to be a wide receiver. They don't want to be on defense. That's not the glamour position. So if you want to be famous, you're a wide receiver. So I think the better athletes at a young age choose that. And so when you do get one of the better athletes to choose defense, it's a pretty rare thing. So it would be nice to have him on the team in the future. I really like him a lot. And it'll be.
No, I think it would be a good pick if we're not drafting a quarterback.
Yes. And this
assuming
is the other
all quarterbacks are off the table. Assuming they're all gone, this is what we got to do. And here's the thing, though. I'm going to be absolutely pissed if we take this guy.
Yeah. Is it because his on-field play or his off-field allegations?
I don't give a shit about his off-field allegations. All I'm talking about is I talked to one of my buddies today about this guy, and we both agreed that a 9th pick for this guy is just too high, in my opinion. You could trade down to 15 or 16 and still get this guy. You
can theoretically trade down and still grab him. But if he's your guy and he's the number one guy on your board, then you take him. And then quarterbacks, we got Trey Lance and Justin Fields. Justin Fields' pro day looked good. I'm going to say I wasn't 100% impressed with either of the quarterbacks.
On their pro day or just in general?
On their pro days. I thought a lot of for 7-on-7 drills, I thought a lot of their passes were the receivers were slowing down to catch the ball, or they were behind them, or they were just off target. What's his face from BYU? I feel like he put it right on the money every single throw.
But
But
from an athleticism standpoint, it's
yeah,
hard to take away kind of what they're doing because again, it's not just for at least with these two,
with these two,
you
they
know.
got something. You got the mobility, and
Mhm.
you have a potential to extend plays and make something out of nothing. So I get that. And now, but see, like on that, that's as a late throw, it's behind him, it's low, that's picked off in the NFL. Um,
Even that one was that slant was a
yeah,
little
it's
questionable from a timing standpoint.
yeah. So
I agree that you know they didn't look as crisp as they probably would like to have, but I don't think it cost them a spot.
no, they're still going to go in the first round. They're still probably going to go in the top 10, maybe even top five, all four of the quarterbacks. So at the end of the day, if you think Justin Fields is your guy, you take Justin Fields and you're happy about it and you develop him. Um, there's a lot to learn in the NFL, and a lot of these guys who are more athletic, they don't even start to learn how to play the quarterback position until college. And even then, sometimes they're not learning. The coach, they're just so talented. The coach says, "Go win us a game." So they got a lot of room to grow and a lot of potential, and I definitely see that.
And that's the biggest thing too. And you touched on a little bit from a difference between pro and college is that you know pro teams. Look at if you ask any Nebraska fan, they're going to tell you that the '95 Husker team is the greatest football team ever played football. I had to hear that for
I
four
don't talk
years.
to Nebraska fans, so I don't hear it.
Yeah, I had to hear that for 4 years. But here's the thing: the 0-16, or 1-15 Dolphins or the 0-16 Lions, they would beat the '95 Huskers 75-0.
Yeah,
It wouldn't even be close.
yeah,
It literally wouldn't be close because you have an all-star team of college players versus just college players playing, walk-ons or whatever. And so to your point with these quarterbacks is, are they NFL ready right now? Are they going to have some struggles? I think they're absolutely going to have struggles. No one comes out of the gate and just goes lights out. Not even Patrick Mahomes.
no. And my biggest worry about this guy is he hasn't seen any real competition. It was Division three. I don't know if it was two or three quarterback. His stats are like phenomenal. I think his last year he played was 45 touchdowns, one interception. But they didn't play this last year. The NCAA didn't allow the Division three. Either he didn't play or they didn't play. I don't know which one it was, but so he's got a lot of rust, and then he's got a lot of rust and hasn't seen a lot of competition. So a lot of unknowns with Trey Lance.
Yeah, it's. I would say 9 times out of 10, I agree with that. But on the flip side, Carson Wentz, even though he's had some struggles in some of the years, he's
Yeah,
got a pretty decent career coming out of North Dakota State from a quarterback standpoint. And
yeah,
so, and even, obviously Wyoming doesn't play a ton of top talent. Josh Allen coming
yeah.
from Wyoming.
So I mean, yes,
He,
they can produce because Carson
it's
Wentz
just
did have some good years, and he was definitely an NFL caliber quarterback. I don't know what happened to him in the last few years. I think a lot of outside noise got to him, but yeah, you're right. Just because he hasn't played, it's more of the limited time we've seen him play.
right.
With
I
the
would say that I would lean more on 2020 having a bigger impact on his ability going forward, at least to get back up to speed. Because to your point, yes, the competition hasn't been or wouldn't be as the same as if he played at Alabama and put up those same type of numbers. He would have won the Heisman 2 years in a row if he did that.
yeah,
And then, so then we wouldn't be maybe talking about it as much. But I think the learning curve is going to be a little steeper for Trey Lance than it's going to be for Justin Fields. That is for certain. And then, kind of what the weapons are around him. And to be honest with you, I think the Broncos are a great fit for him from a scheme standpoint, from a play standpoint, and then just protection standpoint. It's a really good look, and I hope that either the Broncos move up to 4 to get him, or he falls to 9, which I don't think he will.
yeah,
But he would be a phenomenal addition, and I would pick him over Justin Fields any day.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to pick your guy, and if you really truly believe you can build a franchise around either one of those quarterbacks, or even any of the quarterbacks that you feel are obtainable in this draft, you have to pick them if you think they're your guy, not because you think they're the best available this year. because there's a lot of teams who are selecting over and over and over their guy. Um, and then there's a lot of recent history of third and fourth quarterbacks off the board being the best ones, with Josh Allen, with um, Patrick Mahomes, and Deshaun Watson. None of those guys were the first quarterbacks taken off the board. None of them were top, maybe Allen was top 10, but if he was, it was 9 or something. But um,
Yeah, we missed on that one. We picked Bradley Chubb that year.
yeah, yep, and good player, but not Josh Allen. So moving on, the Avalanche have had a very slow week. We have not seen any Avalanche since this game against the
COVID.
Blues. So is this COVID thing? It's the second time they've been shut down this season. It did seem like it took them a little bit of time to get their flow back after.
That's what I'm concerned about. I really am.
Because, I mean, they were playing so good. We talk about it week in and week out, how great the Avalanche look, how much better they look than any other team. But the only difference has been they're in a rhythm, I feel like. It's not anything else.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think it's going to be a couple games before they're able to before Stella gets her groove back. And it's going to be interesting. And this is the time, in my opinion, where the stars have to step up and get us back quicker.
Yep.
The McKinnons, the Landeskog's, the Gerards, the Makars, they need to come through and set the tone. Maybe not in game 1, but definitely game 2, and get back on a streak where we can put 3, 4, 5 together in a row, because there's only roughly 14 games left in the season, and so
right. And do we make up all of the games? Is that something that's guaranteed?
Yeah, we'll make them up.
Okay. Because I don't know what the rules are. If you got the first one, I know the NFL was really loose on the first time a team had a thing, and then they were really strict if they had a second one. So I don't know. I don't know what the NHL's policy is.
And right now, like, being that we're down a couple games, like Vegas has gone on a tear. They've won 7 in a row, and now lead the conference in points, and we're 2 back of Vegas at 66 to 64. But again, making up these games will help close that gap a little bit. But it's just it's really unfortunate timing where they're on absolute fire, and we are taking some time off.
Yeah. So I get nervous just because we've seen it play out, and momentum is such a huge thing in sports that you can't really predict what is going to happen when it's such a weird thing, and sports psychology is such a big thing nowadays. Nobody can explain momentum or hot streaks or cold streaks. It's just a weird thing. You get going and you stop thinking, and you're just doing what you need to do, and everything's clicking. And then once it's not clicking, you start thinking about everything, even though you're not supposed to think about anything like that. You're not supposed to think about why you haven't scored or why you're not hitting well. And no matter how many people tell you, what do you do when you're doing well? Well, I'm not thinking about it. It doesn't matter. Right. It doesn't matter. So, it'll be interesting. Dubnyk got the win in this game. He looked solid for a backup. He doesn't look like he'll be able to win a playoff series if Grubauer gets hurt. But
definitely not going to carry us through, but can get us, hopefully 3 or 4 wins down the stretch to give Grubauer some time. But the nice part is that being Grubauer is one of the people that had COVID. This is his resting period, I guess.
Yeah.
So maybe he. Blessing in disguise with someone like that, but again, goalies are just as momentum based as anyone else.
Yeah, maybe even more so than anybody else. Mental toughness behind the net is really big. Do you know the practicing? Are they allowed to practice when the facilities are shut down, or just the people who came in contact?
To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure on that one. I would imagine if it was me, it would be the people that came in contact with them, which is all of them.
Yeah, I mean, like Yeah, everybody pretty much. So that would suck if they can't practice for a week and a half or
They
stay
could
home.
always just play NHL 2K21 and just practice on the PlayStation.
Maybe that's what I do, but I still suck at hockey.
I can't skate, so that's part of my
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, it's not helping me skate. So I definitely know the goalie's weakness. You know, I could shoot glove side on the ones that have a slow glove and stick side on the ones who have a slow stick. So educational purposes.
Exactly.
Um, Other than that, man, I think they're built for a nice run as long as they can all get healthy.
Yeah, I still think they're the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. They truly do have the best hockey team in the league, and I am really excited to get them back on the ice playing hockey. I think, to be honest with you, I think the third one that was like an unnamed player, I think it was a big name player. Like it was like McCarr or McKinnon or Landeskog, someone that was like a huge player that they just
Yeah,
went unnamed.
yeah, and I agree. I don't know why some players get named and some don't. I don't know. It's weird.
Here and here.
Yeah, exactly. We got to tell them somebody, but we're not telling them you. So I don't know. So we got the NFL draft coming up. We got
Next week, we will for sure be doing our 7-round mock draft. We're going to spend the entire episode breaking down what we want to talk about from a football standpoint because this is the most exciting time for us.
yeah, best
as
offseason
Bronco
time
fans.
of the year. We got Super Bowl aspirations, just like all 32 teams.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to win the Super Bowl next year, and we're one of them who are going to compete. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about more Rockies losses.
Yep, we got a couple more to add to the. We got Houston tonight and tomorrow, and then a 3-game homestand this weekend. And so, of those 5, we're going to be talking about 4 more Rockies losses.
Yep.
Coming into next week.
Yep. So, looking forward to that. We will. Yeah, we'll have a good week. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, some more wins for the Nuggets, and the Avalanche will get some ice time. So,
perfect.
All right, Nick.
Armchair quarterback draft special next week.
All right, sounds good, man. Have a good one.
Man. See you.
Thanks, everybody.